Hello, crafters, and welcome to the November 2023 release video hop for Altenew. Now, this one, as always, has a giveaway, so please don't forget to comment down below. Um, my video is actually going to focus on the BetterPress plates, and you can see that they're absolutely gorgeous. I have two of them, which is the Wild Daisies. And then I also have the second one that we're going to take a look at in a minute. I can't remember the name right now, but as I mentioned, there are $300 in total prizes. So please don't forget to comment down below, like and follow, and please don't forget to do the same for the rest of the talented designers on the hop. So this is the one I was talking about. We've got this large Wild Daisies press plate. And it is absolutely gorgeous. You can see how huge and stunning it is. There are two flowers in this plate along with two sentiments. And this is just an A2 size panel, so you can see just how big it actually is. I like that you can just move it around and place it on your panel to create different designs on your cards. And then the second one is the billowing flower. Now this one has a nice variation in size. You can see it's a bit smaller and it fits perfectly onto an A2 size card. So if you don't want it coming off the edge, you want it to be right in the center and a little bit smaller, you could use that press plate. Now, these are three cards that I actually made for the release, and they were made with these inks. They were the fresh dye inks, three sets that were released in the last month, so in October. And I just didn't have a chance to share these. So we've got the set there, which is the Cosmic Berry and the rest in that line. We've got the Mountain Mist, a Lagoon, and so forth, all the emeralds there in that line. And then we've also got the ones for the grays, which is the limestone and all the ones in that line. So I'm showing you here that I like the round fresh dye inks because they're a bit thicker, right? So you can kind of hold it better with your hands and scrape it across the page, which is basically the technique I'm sharing today. And I've made these three cards using the fresh dye inks, which is a different formulation as I know it compared to the crisp dye inks. But since I've done these three already and I've done the pressing with the press plates and added a bit of detail, I do want to try this technique with the crisp dye ink. So I'm going to be using the Dewdrops, Aqualicious, Galactic Stream, and Teal Cave here. So those sets of inks. And then I'm also going to be using the Wisteria, Ultraviolet, and Andromeda, those purple inks there. So I wanted to use different colors just to give you a variation of looks for using this technique with the press plates or the BetterPress plates. So all I'm doing is grabbing an A2 size white piece of cardstock and I am just smearing the ink pad across the cardstock. It's such a simple and easy way to add color. Now this creates a gradient because I am using the 4 different colors. However, it's a little bit more splotchy as you can see because we get the streak marks. There's no blending from one color to the next. It's just very raw looking. And I kind of like that look, okay? Sometimes you don't want it to have a complete soft look. This just adds an extra artistic detail to it that I think is really nice. By all means, if you don't like this look, you could always use a blending brush and blend each color throughout the panel to create more of a softer look. I just think that this is a really quick and fast way to add color to your panel. And it creates a gradient of colors, which I always like because I feel like that gradient creates a nice amount of depth and variation of color or tones of color. And it's so simple and easy to do, especially for mass card. If you're doing some mass production of cards, this is a great technique to do it really quickly. So in order to use the BetterPress plates, of course, you're going to need the Spellbinder's BetterPress. Now, I love that the plates come attached to those little they're not acetate, but they're like a film kind of thing so that it's not hard to detach them from the packaging. I really like that aspect that they started to include in these sets. Now I'm actually going to take the billowing flower and I want to press it twice. So I want to do it once in one corner and then once in the adjacent corner. So I'm putting my tape on the edge of the cardstock that's not going to touch the plate. So, once we flip it, you're going to see that's going to end up the tape on the right side there. So I just did a check there just to make sure. You always want to make sure you're placing your tape in a strategic spot so that you're not going to interfere with the BetterPress plate. Now I'm just grabbing some of the black BetterPress ink here. And you can grab these inks online. They're available. There's so many different colors. So So here I've gone ahead and I've pressed it. I didn't show you it. I put it through my die cutting machine. And all I'm doing is flipping the plate upside down. And you can see I'm going to get an adjacent print. I didn't have to move the BetterPress plate. I didn't have to move anything. I just flipped that the top plate. I just flipped it, and now I'm going to get the opposite corner, and you can see how gorgeous that is. And it's so quick and simple and easy to do. I have to say, I love foiling. I love all the different types of techniques, but this is my favorite just because it's perfect for when you're short on time or you want to do mass production, which is something that a lot of people tend to do when it comes to Christmas time. And you can definitely use these plates for Christmas cards. You just have to change up your color scheme and maybe add a Christmas sentiment or something like that. So again, I've lined up the wild daisies, and this is much larger, so you can see it's kind of coming off that A2 size template on the I forget what the bottom plate there is called. I'm so sorry, I don't have the right terminology there, but that gray plate with all of the grid and everything. So I really like that grid. It really helps you determine where exactly this is going to fall on your panel. And instead of using the archival mix ink that is used for the BetterPress, I'm just using some gold pigment ink. And you can see that works just as well. It was pressed into the paper nicely, and it's hard to see on the camera, but there is a nice shine to it. Now for this one, all you want to do to clean it off is to use some stamp cleaner. Any stamp cleaner will do. If you're using the archival inks, you're going to want to use an archival ink cleaner like that one I quickly showed you there. But you know, either way, they clean off nicely using the right cleaner. Now I've got a white piece of cardstock, and I think I'm trying to figure out how to line this up so that I can press out the sentiments. Okay, so I'm going to use all of the 3 sentiments. So there are 2 sentiments with the wild daisy, and then there's 1 sentiment with the billowing flower. And if you wanted, you could just use the hello, you could use the sub sentiment, you could use both. So I like that you have that option there. And I'm just lining that up on one side, and then I'm going to line up the other plate on the other side. The grid lines are perfect. I use them a lot, and you will find that you will use them a lot, especially when trying to line things up like this. And then I'm just going to add some of that pigment ink again, and you can see that it's kind of coming off. It's sticking to the pad, and that'll happen unlike the archival ink, which has more, it's not as thick of an ink, it's not as viscous, so it tends to just go onto the plate, whereas this one's a little bit stickier, it's more thick, so it kind of picks up the plate. No worry, you can see I can just, move the plates around and get them in place again. And then I put it through my die cutting machine to add pressure, and it gorgeously pressed in that gold pigment ink. So now all I really have to do is cut down these sentiments to create little sentiment panels or strips, if you will. So once I've got these cut down, then all I have to do is add them to my cards. Now you'll notice on the first 3 cards that I made with the fresh dye inks, I actually pressed the sentiments into the panel. I didn't press them into separate panels and add them on top. So I wanted to do this differently just to show you can do it differently. And if you weren't comfortable with putting it through your die cutting machine twice, or you didn't feel comfortable lining it up on your panel, or whatever the issue may be, you can always use this technique as well, which I find if you're just starting out is a little easier until you get more of a handle on the technique. But really using the BetterPress plates or the system is really easy. Now, I'm going to add some more detail. Now you'll notice that the panels are a little bit darker, right? So the ink that I've added is a bit dark. And then I've also used black on top of it. So in order to make that image stand out a little bit more, I'm just grabbing my white Jelly Roll pen and I'm just adding some detail. Now this is a tip that I picked up from the Altenew videos because they're, I'm still doing the Altenew certification. I'm on level 2 right now, but that's just mainly because I have slacked off a little bit. I've been doing a lot of these videos and enjoying the great products, but I do have to get back to it. But this is one of the tips that I picked up in those videos is always add your own detail. And by doing so, it not only makes your card stand out a little more, it makes it more unique because now you're not just using the store-bought design, you're making it specific to you and it's more your card, right? So I like doing this, especially with the gorgeous designs. I just kind of follow the lines that are already included on that plate and just add a little extra in there. And you'll notice, as I said, the card or the panel and the inks are darker. So when you add the white, it actually makes it stand out as a highlight. So now that I've got those all done, I did trim down the panels a little bit. This one I only cut down on the left and right side, and I think I left the purple panel as is. And now I'm just going to add the sentiment here. It's really just as simple as this. I really didn't do too much to this. I just added the ink, allowed it to dry. I pressed it with the BetterPress plates and added some detail with the white Jelly Roll pen, added the sentiment, and then I'm just going to add a few embellishments to finish it off. Now for the purple one, as I said, I kept it a full A2 size panel, so I don't have a border on this one. However, I will add a border. So I used the rectangle Fancy Frames die, and I cut out all of these. Now I don't show it in the video because I've cut these out like a long time ago for another project, and what I do is I save all the little frames in a little slip, a little plastic slip. So then next time I need to use them, I can just pull them out and use them. I don't really have to do the die cutting each time because, as you know, the Fancy Frames cuts out a whole bunch of frames at once, which I find very ideal and easy. It's very, it comes in handy is basically what it is. So I didn't have to go through all that die cutting. I just kind of look through it, grab what I want and stick it on. So I've got a nice gold frame there now. And I'm just sticking the sentiment on some gold mirror cardstock and cutting it out to add a little bit of a gold frame around the sentiment. And I wanted to do this because I thought it would make the sentiment stand out just a little bit more. I felt like it gave it more of a finished look, and it went with the frame as well that we added. So it just kind of tied everything in, thought it looked well, went ahead and attached it with some foam adhesive. And then all that's really left to do for these two cards is to add some embellishments. Now, if you wanted, you could just leave it as is and keep the cards really simple. And they'll still be simple with some embellishments, but I can't resist adding embellishments. So I'm adding some black clear gems here. And I always like to add an odd number, which is always more aesthetically pleasing to the eye. So I've got 2 up there to the right, and I got 3 down below the sentiment. And that's pretty much it for this card. Moving on to the next, I'm going to use some glitter drop gems. These glitter drop embellishments are a little bit, they're like a champagne color, and so I thought they went really nice with the gold that we've pressed into the design, the gold ink, and then also the gold that's on the sentiment as well. So those are my 2 cards for you today, and the 3 that I initially showed you with those fresh dye inks from the last release. So I hope that you guys have been inspired to create something similar yourself. Don't forget to check out the Altenew store. There's a link down below, and as I mentioned, don't forget to comment for your chance to win one of those prizes, which are a total amount of $300. And the Altenew store is brimming with a whole bunch of new products. I hope that you like some of these, and please don't forget to like and subscribe if you did like my video. So here were the 3 other cards, and you can see that that black one, I think that's my favorite. The darker colors tend to stand out a little bit more with that white Jelly Roll pen. So again, I hope you've enjoyed the video, and good luck to you all. Have a great day, and hopefully I'll see you guys again next time. Bye.